All right, please welcome to the stage from the Sacramento Kings. Make some noise for the Sacramento Kings dancers.
God knows I am reincarnated. I was stargazing. Life goes on, I didn't know my babies. I feel good, get that out my face. Woke up looking for the broccoli. Hot heat, keep a horn on me, that come my seat. IP ownership, the blueprint is by me. Mr. Get Off, I get off at my feet. When I hear you say it, makes me dizzy. I feel good out my face. Look good, but she don't got no taste. I walked in, walked out with the say. Mando, let me know what to play. Squabble up. Squabble up. Hold up. Where you from? Hold up. It's a full moon, let the wolves out. Squabble up. Squabble up. Squabble up. Squabble up. Squabble, 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 squabble up. Squabble up.
Let's make some noise for the Kings dancers. Good morning, everyone. How are we feeling today? Hey, guys, thank you for being here at our 2026 State of Downtown. Can I hear you make a little noise? Beautiful. Beautiful. My name is Scott Freshour, and I'm excited to kind of kick off some of these opening acknowledgments. So please let me introduce some of our special guests in the building today. Can you guys please make some noise for Mayor Kevin McCarty? That's right. And all of our Sacramento City Council members, Vice Mayor Karina Talamontes, Mayor Pro Tem Eric Guerra, Phil Pluckybaum, Lisa Kaplan, Roger Dickinson, Katie Maple, Rick Jennings, and Mai Vang. Those are your city council members in attendance. And let's keep it going for Sacramento City Manager Marakisha Smith and Sacramento Police Chief Kathy Lester, as well as County Supervisors Chair Rosario Rodriguez, Phil Cerna, Patrick Kennedy, Rich Desmond, and Pat Hume. You guys are good at this applause. You guys keep it going. I like this. Sacramento County Executive David Villanueva as well here in the house. Couple more names. Sacramento County District Attorney Tin Ho. Daniel Washington, who's here on behalf of Senate Majority Leader Angelique Ashby's office. And Assembly members Maggie Krell and Stephanie Nguyen. Also, please welcome Glenda Corcoran on behalf of Congresswoman Doris Matsui's office. Matt Chicato on behalf of Congressman Ami Berra. West Sacramento Mayor Pro Tem Verna Sulpizio Hull. West Sacramento Police Chief Rob Strange. Elk Grove Mayor Bobby Singh Allen. And finally, SMUD Board President and Director Dave Tamayo. Thank you, guys. All right, let's get this party officially started. Let's roll the video.
Downtown isn't built overnight. It evolves over generations. Like any great recipe, it takes time, attention, and the right ingredients brought together at just the right moment. Our social economy is the flavor, the reason people show up. Game nights, concerts, hotels. When we blend new additions with longtime anchors, the city pulses with energy and people feel it. Innovation brings the heat that gets things cooking. Healthcare, higher education are making long-term commitments, investing not just in buildings, but in the future. It signals this is where progress lives. Livability is the steady simmer, the warmth that makes a place feel like home. Proximity to opportunities, thoughtfully designed parks you can walk to, schools and grocery stores in the heart of the city. It's not just about visiting downtown, it's about belonging here. A thriving city is created when every ingredient plays its part. When the right pieces simmer together, when timing and heat align, you get something bigger. Something that feeds business, culture, and communities alike. This is downtown's next decade. A city built with purpose, intention, and collaboration. And like any good dish, it is meant to be shared.
Morning, everyone. I guess I don't have to tell you who I am. It's right there. That Michael, I can't see a thing. Anyway, let's get this party started. Downtown's next decade, the theme of today's event, is really poignant for SMUD as we've been preparing, planning, and energizing this region for the last 79, nearly 80 years. So we're covering 8 decades with downtown. So SMUD deeply values our relationship with the Downtown Sacramento Partnership. I'm proud to support our community as a board member on DSP and also through my role at SMUD. But I really want to talk about our investment and planning in the downtown region. We've been building infrastructure, adding capacity, meeting and hopefully exceeding the downtown community's expectations of us with over $400 million of investment in downtown over this last few years and in the coming years to really prepare for the expansion that will be talked about a lot today. So as a $2.3 billion community-owned not-for-profit electric provider, it's our purpose to enhance the lives of our customers and community. And we do this through safe, affordable, reliable energy, helping local businesses grow. That's why several years ago we created the Commercial Development Department at SMUD as a one-stop shop to help developers go from concept to construction. And today we're engaging on over 200 projects just in the downtown region. So our team's dedicated to support the local economy while charting a path to zero carbon. Our board set a goal of zero carbon by 2030 in 2021, and we're well on our way to try to achieve that. Our rates it sounds like a little bit of a commercial here, but we have a real theme around staying affordable for the community, staying reliable for the community, cleaning up the air within our community, and giving back to the region. Our rates are among some of the lowest in California. Approximately $1.8 billion in economic value returned to this region if you compare our rates versus other California utilities. So we're making progress on our goals. We're continuing to align our efforts across the region. We are your local energy company. Right over here, you have the people who build the infrastructure, plan the infrastructure, design it. The commercial development team is here also, so feel free to come on over and talk about your projects to us. We want to be accessible and we want to be part of the success of Sacramento. We exist to serve our community. So it's with great pleasure that it leads me why I'm up here today to present the J. Vance Stewart Award. The J. Vance Award recognizes an organization or individual that demonstrates a passion for enhancing the lives of others while improving the quality of life in the downtown core. This year, I'm proud to present the J. Vance. Hold your applause for just a second because I want to speak about the successful awardee. I'm proud to present the J. Vance Award to Visit Sacramento and to Terra Madre America's team for bringing not only an important, influential international event to Sacramento, but drawing attention to the slow food movement dedicated to good, clean, and fair food for all. So, a little bit of background. This event is a sister event in Italy, which is put on by Slow Food International and has grown to become one of the biggest food events in the world, and to put the city of Turin, Italy on the map as a culinary destination. So when Slow Food was looking for a sister event in the United States, Visit Sacramento saw that as an opportunity to change Sacramento's culinary trajectory. After years of tenacity in creating a compelling narrative, Sacramento became the official and only host of Terra Madre Americas. It will call downtown home for the next decade. This past September, the first Terra Madre event took place in this building and surrounding streets, attracting more than 160,000 people over the course of 3 days. SMUD was a proud founding sponsor and put our name on the Terra Madre America's Bistro, which welcomes celebrity chefs from across the U.S. to create memorable dining experiences for attendees. So this will continue every other year for the next decade and will continue to grow. The goal would be to make Sacramento the epicenter of food, not just on the West Coast, but across the Americas. So I'm pleased to present the J. Vance Award to Visit Sacramento for their vision and determination in bringing Terra Madre Americas to downtown Sacramento. Accepting on behalf of Visit Sacramento is Mike Testa, President and CEO. Where is Mike? Thought you were coming up.
Good morning. I've got some friends joining me on the stage. I had the privilege of knowing J. Vance Stewart, so I'm honored to be here accepting this award that bears his name. First and foremost, thank you, Frankie, for the generous introduction, and to SMUD for your belief in Visit Sacramento and Terra Madre Americas. Beginning as a casual conversation with the Chief of Staff to the legendary Alice Waters, Visit Sacramento began the effort to bring Terra Madre Americas to Sacramento in 2018. We knew from that first conversation that this event belonged here and that it had the potential to change how Sacramento is viewed as a city, as a place to call home, and as a food and tourism destination. The goal of Terra Madre Americas is to bring the culinary world to Sacramento to showcase our agricultural prowess, our dining scene, and more broadly, to celebrate food and food systems from across the globe. While so many people contributed to getting this effort off the ground in such spectacular fashion, we absolutely could not have done it without the real work of the chefs, the hoteliers, and the Visit Sacramento staff, and many others standing behind me today, many of whom are already in their restaurants and hotels working this morning. This event didn't take a village. It took a bunch of badass people in a great city who believe in the magic of Sacramento. They all have day jobs. They all have day jobs, really demanding ones at that, yet they came together as a team and rolled up their sleeves to make sure that your city sparkled on the world stage. Please join me in recognizing these amazing chefs, these hoteliers, and the staff for their unparalleled and critical role in Terra Madre and for all that they do on a daily basis for this community. And we've only just begun, as Terra Madre will be in Italy in the even years and in downtown Sacramento in the odd years until 2033 and beyond. I'd like to thank Michael Alt for his ongoing leadership and the entire staff of the Downtown Partnership for this award, but more broadly for their commitment to making our city better. They helped to promote Terra Madre Americas and attended on opening day as a staff and as a team when the doors opened. Thank you, DSP, for always showing up. I'd also like to thank, sorry, I just let you clap. I'd also like to thank the Visit Sacramento staff and our board of directors. You all know the responsibility that we share as stewards of this community, and none of this moves forward without all of you behind it. Thank you very much.
All right, good morning, and congratulations to Visit Sacramento and Michael and his team for really the incredible impact you continue to make in our region. It's a powerful reminder that the strength in our downtown is directly connected to the strength of the partners who activate it every single day. Moments like that are a great reminder of just how far Sacramento has come. Over the last decade, our urban core has really experienced one of the most transformational periods in its history. We've seen bold ideas become defining landmarks. We've watched public and private partners align around a shared vision, and we've seen what can happen when a community really decides to bet on itself, and that's what Sacramento has done. At the center of the transformation was a pivotal decision, the investment in Golden One Center and the commitment to keep the Sacramento Kings in the heart of our city. That investment was more about the building of just an arena. It was about making a statement. It was about signaling to the world that Sacramento was ready to grow, ready to compete, and ready to lead. Golden One Center became the catalyst in every sense of the word. It sparked new residential development, it accelerated hospitality growth, it created opportunities for small businesses, it brought national and global attention to our city, and it drove momentum across downtown Commons and into the surrounding neighborhoods. And perhaps most importantly, it restored confidence among investors, confidence among entrepreneurs, confidence among residents, visitors of Sacramento, and the downtown as a whole. Few people understand that better than our next speaker. For nearly 30 years, Michael Alt has been at the forefront of downtown Sacramento evolution. As the executive director of Downtown Sacramento Partnership, he has championed smart growth, he has advocated for businesses large and small, and he has shaped the policies and partnerships that have fueled this resurgence. He has had a front row seat to the risk we've taken, the investments we've made, and the measurable impacts that we've delivered. And as we look ahead, the question isn't whether Sacramento will continue to grow. The question is how we will ensure that that growth is intentional, that that growth is inclusive and resilient. How we continue to send a clear signal that this is a place worth investing in. It's a place worth building in, and it's a place worth believing in. So please join me in welcoming the leader of our community to help share our region's future, our good friend, Michael Alt.
All right. Good morning. I want to start by thanking all of you for being here. Yep. This is an opportunity for us annually to not only share the vision of where we're going as a community, but really look back at some of the milestones that we've had. Your presence here today reflects an enthusiasm and commitment to downtown over the last decade. I stand in front of you today as the executive director of the Downtown Partnership that recently was renewed for a 10-year renewal, which is great news. I might say we had 91% support from our property owners, which I think shows some real good validation. So, since our last renewal in 2016, the world has changed quite a bit, and we clearly have seen multiple opportunities for unprecedented times. One was not enough, but we have tested countless programs as an organization to really try and identify downtown's path forward. We've seen real successes, we've learned from failures, but we've also taken risks, guided by the knowledge that a strong downtown is essential to the region's success. The Golden One Center, as John talked about, is a powerful example of how a successful downtown can benefit the entire region. The beam did more than just change our skyline, it elevated the baseline for what's possible. It showed how bold investments can reshape perception, draw people back downtown, and create a shared gathering place for this entire region. It proved, more importantly, that we can be competitive. The Golden One Center itself, absolutely yes, was a huge milestone. Both local and national perspective was gained by that process, but more importantly, it showed that Sacramento is a place that they could confidently capitalize. It's true that in any city, the impact of many projects aren't necessarily defined by the scale of a specific project, but by the ripple effects that they create. Last month, for example, our Dine Downtown program brought people into restaurants during a traditionally slow time of year and generated nearly $1 million in sales in just 10 days. And this year, our Calling All Dreamers Business Incubator program over the last several years has supported over 40 businesses and created over 170 jobs. I think the important part for us is I think it really shows us that it takes projects of all sizes to shape Sacramento. And that brings us to this moment. On January 1st, our district renewed for 10 years. We went from 66 to 102 blocks, taking in the rail yards, Crocker Art Museum, and a footprint around the state capitol. This expansion reflects a renewed commitment to downtown, signaling that we are thinking bigger, acting more strategically, and planning for the long term. By expanding to these neighborhoods, we can deploy resources more effectively and deliver a more consistent downtown experience. Over the next decade, the rail yards will transform into a national model for what a downtown could and should be. A mixed-use district, it'll be home to a professional sports stadium, a music venue, residential living, a state-of-the-art hospital, and a vibrant array of retail experiences. The Crocker Art Museum, with its world-class offerings, anchors our region's creative identity and presents a unique opportunity to reconnect downtown to our riverfront. With the inclusion of the state capitol and our partners with the Sacramento County, we are further unifying public and private sectors around the shared health of our city's core. Our expansion was strategic, and it symbolizes our promise to build a better city. When we think about what downtown is going to be over the next several years, the next decade, we envision a different 24-hour premier destination where innovation, culture, and commerce converge. To help us realize this, we have launched 3 initiatives focused on safety, environmental management, and economic opportunity. But first, and I also need you to really hear this, but first, we need to foster a fundamentally safe and secure downtown. Safety is the foundation that our city needs to be built on, and without it, nothing else will succeed. Behind the scenes, we have been implementing a modern and holistic approach to safety. We're employing a 4-part plan that will be addressed for public safety by transitioning to private security patrols, prioritizing high-need zones, leveraging public resources, and supporting multi-mobility safety. We're furthering that commitment to providing additional services by partnering with our friends at the Sacramento Police Department and also what our downtown team needs to do right now. Next, we will be signing a contract in about a week with a private security firm that will integrate technology to maximize efficiencies and address our most impacted areas. But managing a city is much like managing your own health. While immediate needs demand attention, long-term success depends just as much on preventative care. There is absolutely a human side to what we do in dealing with the social population that we have in the urban core. We're continuing to work with local partners like our good friend Brian Pedro with the Department of Community Response and our own downtown resource coordinators. Our team works to reconnect people with their families, transportation, housing, and healthcare by creating a path off the streets that would not have existed otherwise. Our safety strategy is modernized, it's preventative, it's responsive, and it's rooted in national best practices. It's further strengthened by the Sacramento Police Department, and I know we've got our police department folks here, putting their bike patrol outposts downtown, which we love having, and additionally, the district attorney's office choosing to sign a lease to stay downtown. Both of these will create a more efficient and secure hub for public safety. With a strong foundation of clean and safe in place, we can create a welcoming and authentic Sacramento experience. Next, our environmental management initiative will focus on making downtown a place people want to be, not out of obligation, but out of choice. We're prioritizing actions that will increase pedestrian activity, improve comfort, and make public spaces easier to use. That means activating key corridors and gathering spaces through consistent programming, things like events, pop-ups, and partnerships to promote safe spaces and positive interactions. At the same time, we're also investing in placemaking enhancements that shape daily experiences, focusing on lighting, seating, and wayfinding to make the experience more fun. We've also started with projects like the new lighting along K Street. Hopefully you've seen the lights along the K Street corridor and the improvements on the Capitol Mall median. Because we all need well-lit streets, and let's face it, we deserve green grass. We're utilizing programming and placemaking to make downtown a place people want to show up, to work and invest. In addition to the physical environment, we're also addressing the opportunity cost of telework. Considering only the immediate benefits, we feel overlooks the broader and lasting ramifications. An active and competitive downtown depends on people showing up. It's not our role to mandate, but it is. Bring it. While it isn't our role to mandate, it is our opportunity to work with our public sector partners to ensure that they're part of the solution. Downtown is better and more active when we have a full occupancy downtown. Finally, our Economic Opportunity Initiative will build on safe and welcoming streets. An active public realm is critical to cultivate downtown as a desirable place for investment. Our vision is to make downtown the most stable, dynamic, and opportunity-rich submarket in the Sacramento region for employers, entrepreneurs, students, and residents alike. But to achieve this, we must prioritize catalytic investment that supports our mixed-income neighborhoods, higher educational anchors, and workforce development. What started as the partnership leading a conversation with Senator Angelique Ashby and our partners with Visit Sacramento and GSAC about downtown's next chapter has led to a multi-million-dollar meta investment in the Sacramento State downtown campus. At the same time, we're also strengthening connectivity by supporting regional transit and multi-mobility. We're supporting local and emerging businesses by providing tools that will help them adapt to the many changing market conditions. We are advocating for policy and infrastructure and incentives that will encourage outside interests in downtown. Economic opportunity is about creating consistency and reducing risk, and making downtown a place where growth and upward mobility are exceptions, not expectations. Taken together, these initiatives will share a single goal: making downtown Sacramento competitive, not just regionally, but nationally. Competitive for talent, competitive for investment, competitive for culture, innovation, and quality of life. We've already, there's one of you back there, we've already made strides in many of these initiatives, and our strategic action plan is intentional, and it's designed so that each one will build on the next. But momentum, as we know, in one area means little without movement in another. Safety, environmental management, and economic opportunity must advance together to create real and lasting change. Across the country, many cities are grappling with challenges. We talk to downtowns across the U.S. weekly on how they are reinventing themselves and identifying what's next. But the ones that are doing well now didn't focus on realigning with the path they were on pre-pandemic. They dreamed bigger, they diversified, and they made deliberate choices to stay competitive. San Francisco, for example, made a clear decision. In-person collaboration still matters. They've updated their return to office expectations, focused on rebuilding consistency and day-to-day activity in the heart of their city. Phoenix invested in higher education downtown by creating a steady pipeline of talent and supporting activity beyond the traditional Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 work hours. Clyde Warren Park in Dallas offers a clear example of how capping a major freeway can create and connect public spaces in their downtown and uptown while spurring development and generating roughly $3 billion in just 10 years. Modesto recorded 0 homicides last year. Think about that, 0, for the first time in 40 years. Their city leaders and law enforcement tackled the problem with targeted data-driven strategies, expanded technology, and a community-backed resource like their Measure H. We have visited and met with leadership in these cities, and while they are not Sacramento, what we've learned from them is that even amid the challenges that we face, they have prioritized public safety, placemaking, and economic opportunity as interconnected systems, and in doing so, they have continued to define and elevate their own identities. This shows us that the problems we face in Sacramento absolutely have solutions. We can anchor downtown with higher education by creating a pipeline of talent, opportunity, and innovation that will keep energy flowing well beyond the workday. We can reclaim our waterfront by transforming it into a connected, accessible extension of downtown that reflects our culture, our history, and our future. And we can embrace smart, coordinated safety strategies by utilizing technology, partnership, and presence to create public spaces that feel welcoming and secure. I am confident that in 10 years, Sacramento can be the model for cities across the board. In fact, in many cases, we already are. Through thoughtful persistence, we are seeing leadership turn plans into action. We see it at City Hall with our new city manager, Marikesha Smith, emphasizing the importance of addressing. I haven't even given you what I'm going to say. She has made it a priority, emphasizing public safety, homelessness, and economic development matter, and says we are not backing away from that. We see it in the Shingle Springs Band of Miwok Indians' historic investment at 301 Capitol Mall and the adjacent former Macy's site. We see it in the major infrastructure and connectivity projects like Sacramento Regional Transit's progress with the rail yard station, light rail expansion in West Sacramento, and the I Street Bridge replacement project. We see it in the rail yards where the Wilton Rancheria is building a professional soccer stadium. Kaiser Permanente is advancing a multi-billion-dollar medical campus. And there's Kaiser, come on, bring it. Yeah. You can be selfish, it's fine. And LDK Ventures is transforming a historic landmark into a lively mixed-use retail and entertainment hub. We see it in civic and institutional investments like the construction of the Sutter Health Advanced Care Complex on J Street. And as simple as this sounds, the Capitol Fountain flowing again for the first time in 15 years. Yeah. We thought it looked pretty good with our green grass adjacent to it. We see it in the national visibility with the A's entering their second season of Major League Baseball in Sacramento. We see it in the celebration of the community's history and cultural identity with the proposed Chinatown Gateway illumination project through our Downtown Sacramento Foundation. And we see it in the recent federal investment. Congresswoman Doris Matsui helped us secure more than $3 million in federal funding to reconnect downtown to our riverfront. This is how cities grow, intentionally, collaboratively, and with confidence. Downtowns do not become competitive by default. They become competitive because leaders like you choose to invest, align, and act with purpose every single day. Before you leave today, think about what you want downtown Sacramento to be. We believe all things are possible, but only if everyone in this room commits to making that future a reality. Downtown Sacramento has a responsibility to lead by example as a city ready to compete. This is downtown's next decade. One of the things that we're talking about is really looking at downtown's opportunities. We are going to get a behind-the-scenes look today at some of the people and businesses that are making downtown successful, and we are very excited to share that with you.
And the story of Sacramento is best told by the people that are creating the next chapter for downtown Sacramento. We're going to go catch up with some of the people that are contributing, starting with the Sacramento Kings. Let's go see John Reinhardt. Scott Ford here with John Reinhardt, Sacramento Kings. Can you talk a little bit about the significance of what the Golden One Center, the Sacramento Kings, have meant to the Sacramento community?
Downtowns are much more than just buildings and businesses. You know, they really are about people, relationships, and experiences. And we want our guests to be able to come and make this a very walkable city, which Sacramento is. So be able to, you know, walk 10 blocks to another place where maybe you want to grab a coffee before you're coming to a game or before you're coming to an event, or you want to meet somebody before you go out. You know, I want to see every storefront activated. I want to see every building vibrant. I want to see people coming and enjoying things in our parks and our outside green spaces, you know, from the river all the way down.
The Golden One Center, Light the Beam, the Sacramento Kings, and Downtown Commons has become, you know, I would say far surpassed even what I imagined this could be over the past decade. Appreciate your leadership, John, and really excited to work with you on this over the next decade.
Thank you. Looking forward to the next 10 years.
All right, off to go see Bob Simpson at Parkside on K Street. Can you talk a little bit about sort of your investment here in bringing the Parkside Sacramento concept to K Street?
Tremendous area down here. I've been here for the last 35 years. We have some tremendous resources. We have the parks, we have Golden One Center, we have the convention center, all within walkability. I really feel that the nighttime economy is thriving.
What do you want to see next?
K Street is the heartbeat of the city. That's what we have to keep focusing on, and making sure that if our police department doesn't have the resources to fully staff every area of this town, which is very difficult, then we have to do it ourselves. As operators, we have to take charge, and we have to provide safe, secure fun for our patrons.
A foundation of safety for all is imperative for the success of a thriving social economy. Come with me to go talk to Jay Robinson at Kaiser Permanente. Jay, just want to hear a little bit about the vision of Kaiser Permanente.
Yeah, very exciting times for us. First thing I want to talk about is our incredible rail yards project, where we're going to build a 8-story, 310-bed hospital that will be state-of-the-art. We know that hospitals are economic engines, and our new hospital will have 3,000 plus people working there. What I'm most proud of is how we interact with our members and address their needs. Advanced care at home, where we allow people to receive acute care in their own homes, which is a game changer. So instead of having to heal in our hospital, you can heal in your own home, and that's the best place to be. Don't you prefer your bed over a hospital bed?
Really exciting to see healthcare continuing to grow its presence and create those pathways.
Being a part of that vision and helping Sacramento reimagine itself, we're thrilled to be at the center of it.
I do believe that, you know, that's a big part of what's going to help the Sacramento region thrive. So thank you for everything you do. Let's go see President Luke Wood. Recently, we got some very exciting news about some catalytic funding that's come through. Can you share a little bit about kind of what that news means for downtown Sacramento?
Meta, the social media company, has given Sacramento State $50 million to begin this project.
Can you share with us a little bit about the vision?
What is Sacramento State known for? We're known for policy, you know, political science, criminal justice. We also have the SAC semester program, where students from all of the 22 California state universities come to Sacramento State, they study on campus, and then they work down here at the state capitol or in the ecosystem that surrounds it. For us, the next phase of our development in terms of how we can leverage our unique positioning as a campus is to have these become the future home of our downtown campus.
And it speaks to the talent that we have here in the Sacramento region. Let's build it. Stingers up.
Fingers up.
Let's go see Nikki Mohana and talk about her project at 10th and K Street. How do we continue to infuse housing at all levels of affordability here in downtown Sacramento?
It's so critical to be able to merge the affordability with sustainability. And I think the best place to do that is here in downtown, because you have the walkability, you have the proximity to all of the employment centers. And so to be able to build something that is not only affordable just by design and by the housing type, but also by the lifestyle, because you are so close to your work, you don't need to rely upon a car. You have the ability to have all of your amenities at your doorstep. And that truly is the vision of what we want to see our downtown look like.
It's so exciting, and it truly is integrated, not just housing, but a mix of uses. And we know that that is key to a sustainable ecosystem for any neighborhood.
That truly is the vision of what we want to see our downtown look like.
What an incredible day talking to the creators of downtown Sacramento. Clearly, we are elevating this city with intention.
If we heard something today, we heard the amount of commitment that is being made by the partners that not only believe in downtown, but believe in the work that we're trying to do. Let's take advantage and make this the downtown that we all want it to be. Downtown's future is right in front of us.
Good morning. Come on. Good morning. All right, there we go. It's an honor to be here with you all. Kaiser Permanente is proud to support the vision of a clean, safe central city, a vibrant destination where innovation, culture, and health come together. It is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, the 57th Mayor of the City of Sacramento. Kaiser Permanente is appreciative of our partnership with Mayor McCarty, the City Council, and the City of Sacramento as we work together to bring the Rail Yards project to life. This transformative development will not only be home to our new Kaiser Permanente Medical Center, but will also include new housing, retail, a future soccer stadium, doubling the size of downtown. You clap there when I say doubling the size. Today, Mayor McCarty will share his perspective on the state of downtown Sacramento, highlight the work he has led over the past year, from addressing homelessness and strengthening public safety to advancing economic development, and offer his vision for the future of our city. Please welcome me in joining Mayor Kevin McCarty.
Good morning, and thank you, Jay, for that kind introduction. And again, this is your third year here, going strong, and I appreciate the intro, but I know you missed something because of these HIPAA rules. You did not say that I'm a Kaiser member, so proud Kaiser member. But again, good morning, everybody. It's great to be here talking about our central city, the heart of downtown Sacramento. While only two of us on the council represent constituents down here from elected perspective, myself and Councilmember Phil Pluckybong. Every council member here is invested in the future, and let's acknowledge the rest of our city council team. Besides Councilmember Pluckybong, we have Vice Mayor Karina Talamontes, Mayor Pro Tem Eric Guerra, council members Lisa Kaplan, Roger Dickinson, Katie Maple, Rick Jennings, and Mai Vang. And she was mentioned earlier, and I can't see with the lights, but this is her 48th day on the job, and I keep asking her, you still want to stick around? She says yes. But that is our amazing new city manager, Marquisha Smith. Welcome to Sacramento. So today is the state of downtown, and let's start with an honest question. What is the state of downtown? It's good. Of course, we know it could be better, but most importantly, we're moving in the right direction. First, a city perspective. We are unequivocally a city on the rise, making real progress on public safety, homelessness, housing, and economic growth. Public safety always comes first. Crime is down double digits in every category citywide, thanks to the outstanding work of the men and women of our police department, led by our police chief, Kathy Lester. Homelessness, of course, remains a challenge, but we're seeing measurable progress. Unsheltered homelessness has dropped significantly over the past 2 years, and on top of that, we've opened 500 new beds in the last 15 months. But we're not done. We've embraced a solid 6-point plan to create 600 more beds moving forward. We're pairing accountability with cost effectiveness, and it's making a difference here in Sacramento. With our Streamline Sacramento initiative, we're cutting red tape and making it easier to do business here in our city. From housing to restaurants to hotels and entertainment districts, we're working hard, but we know we must continue to be nimble. This isn't a one-and-done effort, as we're competing with other cities and other projects throughout the region and throughout the state. So back to downtown. We're stabilized, we're focused, and we're rising. And with that, let's do this David Letterman style. Here's my downtown top 10. Ready? Number 10, the Downtown Partnership. You renewed for another 10 years and expanded from 66 to 102 blocks. That's confidence, that's commitment, and most importantly, that's thanks to you. Number 9, downtown is safer. As we've heard, violent and property crimes are down citywide and down double digits in our central city. And as we heard earlier, your expanded security teams are coming online, making a difference. Our new Sacramento PD Bike Patrol, headquartered in Doco, opened this month. And I was excited to participate in the 6,000 new LED lights downtown, making Sacramento safer. 8, homelessness in the central city is down significantly as well. Of course, it's not over. We can see it every day, a reminder that our work is not done. But the downtown point-in-time count has dropped dramatically since 2023 by 70%. Again, not solved, but headed in the right direction. Number 7, new buzz for our old Sacramento waterfront. At the former Rio City Cafe site, a few years ago, my final year in the legislature, we secured $5 million to rebuild the docks. We finished the docks this year, and today we're excited to announce that we have 2 new tenants coming down there. That's right, a 2-for-1. We're in final negotiations with a restaurant for the main building, so stay tuned. But for the adjacent space, we're pleased to announce we've selected Beer Garden, who's killing it in Midtown for over a decade, to activate an old section of the boardwalk that's been unused for decades. That's exactly how we bring back. This is exactly how we bring back energy to our riverfront, our crown jewel of Sacramento. 6, the Sac State downtown campus. This, as we know, is a game changer. With a big assist from Governor Newsom and Meta, we are launching this exciting downtown campus. You know, I've been at work trying to repurpose vacant state buildings for a while now, and I'm certain that this will be the game changer that will change downtown forever, just like ASU did in the video earlier in downtown Phoenix. Number 5, an office to housing conversion at the Hill building is coming soon. Last year at this stage, we said that we wanted to lead by example and turn a shuttered, city-owned commercial building on K Street into vibrant mixed use. Well, we're just about there. We're negotiating with our preferred applicant to make this a reality, to bring vibrancy to 10th and K. Stay tuned. Four, the rail yards are alive with activity. This, as we know, is the largest active infill site in America, and it's bustling. Kaiser, massive campus under construction. Soccer stadium, thanks to Sac Republic and Wilton Rancheria, under construction. MLS team, hopefully in the near future to announce. The Paint Shop concert venue started construction quietly this month. That's an exciting effort right there, that old historic shop. Over 500 new residents moved in the past year at the 2 buildings, the Wong Center and the AJ. And the new county courthouse is going to open the first week of April. We got that news just this week. And with that, it frees up the old Shaber courthouse for conversion into housing as well. Three, pedestrians are back. Foot traffic has increased for 5 straight years downtown. We are now at 87% of the pre-pandemic levels. Workers, residents, visitors, they are returning. 2, more housing downtown. Nearly 5,000 housing units have been added downtown over the past decade. Hundreds more are under construction right now, and as interest rates shift, we're confident that more projects are ready to move forward. And finally, number 1, professional sports are reshaping downtown forever, and we're just beginning. From the Kings to the A's to the River Cats, 1.8 million people attended a sporting event downtown last year, within 10 blocks of each other. That's pride, community pride, that's national exposure, but most importantly, that's more revenue for our city of Sacramento. And as you may have heard, We are pursuing Major League Baseball permanently. MLB is looking for a city on the West Coast for expansion by 2030. And guess what, Commissioner Manfred? We have an MLB city just in mind, our capital city right here in Sacramento. And yes, we are 100% in the mix. So stay tuned this spring as West Sacramento Mayor Guerrero and I launch our MLB Forever campaign with a strong public-private regional coalition. So all of this taken together tells a bigger story, that downtown Sacramento is no longer asking when it can recover, we're proving that we are recovering. But we must continue to adapt. And one reminder, 65 years ago, we took a gamble by tearing down the west end of Sacramento and consolidating around state office buildings. That kind of sustained us for decades. But the pandemic made things crystal clear. Diversification is not optional, it's absolutely essential. And that's exactly what we're doing. I'm optimistic about where we are headed and look forward to continuing to work together with you. Thank you very much. Let's go Sacramento.
How about the A's? Good morning, Sacramento. My name is Lydia Ramirez, and I am the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Five Star Bank and a proud DSP board member. So I have a little bit of a story to share. I had the opportunity to come into this room last night with my youngest son, and he asked me a question, "Mom, what is this all about?" And I told him it's an opportunity for leaders of the community to come together and drive what comes next for our downtown core. He told me, "That's pretty cool, Mom." And I told him, "That is pretty cool, son." That we, collectively, as leaders of this region, have the opportunity to continue to bring these visions to life. And Five Star Bank is committed to being an opportunistic partner for our region, for our downtown core, and for our customer, DSP. So with that, Sacramento, please join me in welcoming today's keynote speaker, Jeff Speck. He is an internationally recognized urban planner, TED Talk speaker, and best-selling author of Walkable City. Speck is one of the world's leading voices on why downtowns matter and what it takes for them to succeed, helping cities across the globe become safer, more economically competitive, and better positioned to attract talent and investment. Through his work, he has helped change the national conversation about community design, boiling the success of great cities down to one essential factor: walkability. With decades of experience advising communities and leading award-winning planning efforts, Speck brings both vision and practical insight into how we can build thriving, walkable places designed for the future. Myself, our President and CEO, James Beckwith, the entire staff at Five Star Bank, and our board of directors are very pleased to support our client, DSP, today, and we thank you for coming this morning. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Speck.
Thank you. Lovely. Hi, everybody. All right, you can do better than that. Hi, everybody. This is my first time in Sacramento, which is shocking because cities this great I usually have been to already, but I'm so grateful to the Downtown Partnership for bringing me here. Michael and Scott have been so hospitable, and the rest of the staff. Mayor, thank you for your words, and I'm really glad the City Council is here too, because I'm talking to all of you, including Matt, the Public Works leader who I met. Most of my talk is for Matt. I have the best job. I have the best job in America, which is I get to go to cities, tell them what's wrong with them, and leave. But because of the storm in Boston, my flight home was canceled, so I'm going to be here a little longer than I had planned. So if you see me in the street, say hello. My talk today is called Towards a More Walkable Sacramento. I've learned that, yes, that walkability is a central feature of what makes downtowns thrive and often what makes cities thrive. Usually I have about an hour to speak. Today I have 30 minutes, so I'm going to go really fast. I'll give you my slides later. Actually, at the end, you can scan and get my slides if you want them, so if you miss anything, I apologize, but I've got so much to tell you, and I'm not going to dwell on all the wonderful things that are already here. It is truly a lovely city. There's so much already that you're doing well. I can help you more by focusing on what you can do better, but it is, I'd say you're an 8, and getting you to a 10 is not going to be that hard. In my book, Walkable City, I talk about kind of two different things: why our cities need to be more walkable, and how to make them more walkable. The why argument is something you probably don't need. Judging from what I heard from the video and all the other speakers, you seem to already understand how important walkability is in your city. In Walkable City, I talk about the economic reasons, the environmental reasons, the epidemiological reasons, why we need for America to be more walkable and our cities to be more walkable. I was going to spend some time this morning talking a bit about the economic side. I don't think you need me to. I'd rather focus on the how, because it seems that you're already convinced, although pedestrian activity was only number 3 on the mayor's list, but that's pretty good actually. But no one clapped for it. You clapped for all the other ones. So let's move on. Let's move on how to be more walkable. So in Walkable City, I have what I call my general theory of walkability. And the general theory of walkability says, in America, particularly where driving is so cheap and so easy, and most of us have cars, and it's so easy to fall into them. They're in the driveway between us and everything. How are you going to get people to walk? And the answer is the walk has to be as good as the drive. And to do that, it has to do 4 things simultaneously. It needs to be useful, it needs to be safe, it needs to be comfortable, and it needs to be interesting. And that's the organization of my talk today. So I'm going to go through these 4 categories one by one. The useful walk is a story I learned from my mentor, Andres Duani, who talked about the 19th century and the birth of the planning profession, when people were choking on the soot from the dark satanic mills, and the planners said, hey, let's move the housing away from the factories. And they did, and lifespans increased immediately and dramatically, and the planners were hailed as heroes, and we like to say they've been trying to repeat that experience ever since. So you have the onset of Euclidean zoning, something we now know was wrong, this separation of the landscape into large areas of single use, which has happened in much of California. The more delicate, the more confetti-like, the more mixed your uses are, like we find in our downtowns, the more useful a downtown you're going to have. I was an art history major. They say that wasn't the most lucrative choice, but I can tell you that when it comes to cities, you don't want a Rothko, you want a Seurat. Right? Seurat was the pointillist. So this gets us into the fundamental new urbanist argument. I'm a very proud member of the Congress for New Urbanism since we started it in 1993, and the idea that there's only 2 tested ways to make cities. One is the traditional neighborhood, the other is suburban sprawl, and one is mixed use and compact and walkable, and the other is the exact opposite. It's fun to break sprawl down into its constituent parts of the places you only live, the places you only work, the places you only shop. The schools get bigger and bigger. The ball fields get consolidated. The kid living right across the water from these 12 soccer fields has to be driven 2 miles to get to it. And of course, the part we forgot to count, which California and LA, I should say, this is not Photoshop, this is LA, excels at, which is if you separate everything from everything else and reconnect it only with automotive infrastructure, then of course your highway system ends up looking like this. I always tell people, for many people, this is the American dream. The house just with only other houses around it. But if this is your dream, then you're going to be stuck with this nightmare. And this is why downtowns are so valuable, because the experience of living in the sprawl is something that is not a pleasant one. The driving experience isn't very good. It is tough on families. The longer your commute, the more likely you are to be divorced. And then I got this image from an epidemiologist who said, the reason why Americans are living shorter lifespans than they were a generation ago is because it's normal to drive, to park, to take the escalator to the gym, to get on the treadmill, to walk, right? So being a driver can be a total drag, and being a pedestrian can be even worse. So when it comes to the creation of new places, which we do every day, these are the two models, right? Sprawl on the left, traditional neighborhood on the right. It's the same stuff. But how big is it? How far apart is it? And do you have this nice intricate street network that connects everything together? Those are the two models. Of course, we're downtown, and we're the proper model. We're the model on the right. And we need to do everything we can do to enhance that model, which means we're in this first category of the useful walk. We have to ask, what use is missing? What use is underrepresented, at least? And certainly in most downtowns, and yours in particular because you have this state office economy, housing is underrepresented. Jane Jacobs, back in the 60s, commenting on Wall Street, which was a very different place back then, said, why is there not a single great restaurant or a single great gym on Wall Street? And the answer was it lacked what she called time spread. The idea that you need that 24-hour activity. A great restaurant or a great gym needs an evening crowd as well as a daytime crowd. And she also said, Robert Moses' highways aren't going to solve the problem. If anything, they're causing this great decanting from the city. The solution is to have people living in your downtown. And cities that want to thrive are investing in developers, actually, putting more housing in their downtown. A smaller capital than you, Des Moines, decided to make that investment. In 2000, they had 2,500 units downtown. By 2020, they had 10,000 units downtown, and they did it by offering tax abatements and offering tax increment financing. So anything you can do, it accrues back to the city in future revenue, in future activity, in future success that, of course, will pay for itself. I opened my planning magazine on the airplane a few months ago and met this gentleman and understand that you guys are taking great steps to cause more housing to come in your downtown, like the La Valentina Apartments. Once you have people who live in your downtown, more people, you'll have more people who love your downtown, take care of it, care about it, and give you that useful walk from the office to the home and back again. So that's the first category. We're going to spend most of our time in the second category, the safe walk, because it's actually the one that you can improve the quickest and the one that needs the most improvement in Sacramento and everywhere. When I talk about safety, I don't talk about crime, because most other people are focused on crime. If you look statistically, you need to worry much more about cars than you do about crime, in terms of who's dying and who's being injured. So we have a pedestrian epidemic in the US. You may be aware that you're 78% more likely to be killed as a pedestrian now than you were 15 years ago. We don't need to get into why, because we don't have time. Big trucks. But we lead the world, we lead the developed world in terms of our rate of crashes and injuries, and particularly to pedestrians. We've surpassed Russia in terms of the danger on our roads. And what's interesting is you look city by city, and you see vast differences between different cities. So, New York, very walkable, 2.6 people per 100,000 are being killed each year in car crashes. San Francisco is almost the same. Dallas, much more of a car city, 13.9. Orlando, 14.8. But what if we look at a place that's just suburban, that's not even a downtown? How about Sewanee County in Florida, 43.7. So we see actually that downtowns are much safer for pedestrians than suburban areas, but of course we need to make them even better. And Sacramento needs to be safer. I was surprised to see this because it does feel rather safe downtown, with the exception of some of your one-way multi-lane streets, which I'll get into. But you can see that you are leading the big cities in California. For me, this is a mandate to make dramatic change. And this chart should be held up when people are resisting the sort of dramatic and, dare I say, radical change that I'm going to be recommending today. The number one factor in whether a pedestrian lives or dies is the speed of the automobile. A car going 35, which I've witnessed on many of your streets, is about 7 times as likely to kill you as a car going 25. And there's more factors than just the speed of the car when it hits you, because of course it takes much longer for the car to stop when it sees a pedestrian in the street, when they're moving quickly, and then your cone of vision narrows when you're driving faster, and you don't see things that might be stepping out in front of the car. So the focus of our work, my firm's called Spec Dempsey, the focus of our work when we're working in inner cities is to say, how can we make people just drive the speed limit? I don't say let's slow people down, because then they say, oh, you want to add congestion. No, I don't. I want just to stop the speeding. So what are the factors, the Vision Zero factors that cause people to drive the speed limit? The first one is block size. Smaller blocks are safer. This is Portland, Oregon, famously walkable, famously 200-foot blocks. Salt Lake City, less walkable, 600-foot blocks. They give you flags to wave in the street when you're crossing it in Salt Lake City. I thought that was a great program until I found this one in Vancouver, the Grab a Brick program. So rather than waving a flag, you can wave a brick, make sure you make eye contact, and, but these are Canadians. Canadians are nice, they're actually foam bricks. But there you go. So here are the two cities side by side. You can see the big difference. Halfway down this chart, you see that as average block size doubles, the number of fatal crashes quadruples. So you're in great shape here. You have much more Portland-like blocks than Salt Lake City blocks. Here you are next to Portland, a little bit bigger. You're about 320 feet. By American standards, that's still very small. Plus, you have the alleys breaking the blocks up, making them even smaller. That's fantastic. The more intersections, the safer the street. Here you are again next to Portland. Here you are next to Salt Lake City. You've adopted the right model. This is where we say, great. You've got good bones, a strong foundation for safety. Next, how many lanes are in the street? I was working with the mayor of Oklahoma City when they were named the worst city for pedestrians in the entire country. And he said, what do we do? And I said, well, let's do a walkability study. He said, what's that? I said, I don't know. And it was the first one I've ever done. I've now done about 20. We said, let's look at the car counts in your downtown, knowing that 2 lanes can handle 10,000 cars a day. Without turn lanes, 2-way street can handle 10,000 cars a day. And you look at this chart, you see 9,000, 6,000, 5,000, 3,000. These were all 4 to 6 lane streets in the downtown that were supposed to stay that way. And I said, you have a tremendous mismatch here between supply of lanes and demand for lanes. You don't need all these lanes. And they decided to actually rebuild almost every street, in their downtown core, 40 blocks. As a result of this study, it was my job to design the curb-to-curb. I managed to double the amount of on-street parking. I cut the number of travel lanes by a third, created a bike network where there was no bike network. So this street became this street. This 4-lane one-way became this 2-lane two-way plus tram. This street became this street. And they invested a lot. This is what you do if you have money. You rebuild everything. So let's look at your downtown core and your car counts in the core. And you can zoom in a little bit. Okay? And I'm seeing 2 streets that have more than 10,000 cars a day. Barely. I and then J. Every other street, 1,300, 8,000, 2,000, 2,000, 4,000. These are all streets that could be 2-lane streets. And we'll talk about 2-way streets as well. But this is, yeah, I'll give you an applause line later. But these car counts are inspiring, and there's a huge amount of margin here of more cars that you could add without needing more lanes. So I'm not here to cause congestion. I'm here to create a circumstance where your streets are sized to your traffic, and even the traffic that you're anticipating. And by the way, though, they had a $200 million tax increment from a tower that was coming downtown, which is why they rebuilt everything in Oklahoma City. But you don't need to rebuild. I say don't rebuild, restripe. You can restripe a whole downtown for the cost of rebuilding just a few streets, and that's the kind of work we do in most cities, like Cedar Rapids, which, this is Davenport, Iowa, where we've reverted half their one-way streets back to 2-way travel. I want to tell the story of Vancouver, Vancouver, Washington. This article appeared in, it hopefully will be the story of Sacramento. This article appeared in Governing Magazine, and they tried everything to bring back to life the main street of Vancouver, Washington, the bricks, the berms, the banners, the bandstands, the bollards, and the balloons, and nothing really got them going until they convinced the state to turn it from a one-way multi-lane street back to a two-way street. And the merchants said, we're getting twice the business with this change. In Louisville, Kentucky, you see these 4 streets from right to left, Brooks, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. This was what they did to Louisville in 1959. We have now completed the plan to revert almost all these streets back to two-way travel. However, before we got there, they reverted Brook and 1st back to two-way travel. When they did that, they kept 2nd and 3rd as one-way. On the two ways, car crashes dropped by 48%. Crime even went down 23%. On the one-ways, car crashes went up, and even crime went up a little bit. Another project I mentioned was Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where they had 0 budget. This was a restripe, not rebuild. They did it over 8 years because they put a plan in place that as they repaved the streets, they just repaved them to this new standard. So this was the old number of lanes. You see a lot of 4-lane one-ways. This was the plan after, mostly 2-lane two-ways. This is the amount of parking where red is angle, which became this. The merchants loved that increase in parking. This is the bike network before. This is the bike network after. This is a typical street before. This is a typical street after. This person on the left is learning not to park in a bike lane. But this was the day they finished it. They learned. Another town, and I mention it only because they delayed for 3 years because of fear for public safety issues, was New Albany, Indiana. After delaying this complete downtown reversion from almost all one-way to almost all two-way, the citizens fought for it. The fire chief and the police chief wanted those extra lanes. So I was very pleased when we were done to hear from the police chief say that in his 28 years as a police officer, he's never seen a better scenario for public safety. Speeds have been reduced, crashes are down, and response times are better because they don't have to loop anymore. So the biggest opponent actually became the biggest ally. This is a list that includes Sacramento of about 80 cities that have already made major changes from from one-way travel back to two-way travel. You still, though, have a ton of multi-lane one-way streets. You've got 7th Street, you've got 8th Street, you've got 9th Street, you have 10th Street, you have P Street, you have Q Street, you have J Street, you have I Street. I'm on the floor of the Citizen Hotel that has the small windows. It's the 13th floor. But the view out the window is spectacular. And I did something I've never done before because they put me on the proper side of the hotel. I spent an hour looking out the window and watching how drivers behaved on I Street. And it was really interesting to see, speeds that you simply would not see on a two-lane, two-way street. That lack of opposing traffic, even buses are speeding down I Street. The fact that there's the opportunity to jockey is the principal reason. When you're on a two-lane, two-way street, the slowest car is setting the speed. You don't need to time the lights, and even if you do time the lights, someone at the back of the queue can jump to the front of the queue. It does not stop the speeding. So this is your plan. Currently, I don't know how much of it is happening, how soon. As I mentioned, you've already accomplished some wonderful reversions that put you in the books. And I don't know, I was feeling randy, and I wrote this down. But you can do a lot more, right? You can do a lot more. Yes, thank you. And why not do it all? So why not do it all? Well, one thing that cities talk about when they don't do it all is the cost of the signal heads. Because when you make one-way streets two-way, you have to add 2 new signal heads. Signal heads are expensive. This is not a roundabout signal. This is a piece of art, but it reminds us to question the amount of signals we have in the US. It turns out that we are vastly over-signaled in the US. This study, many years ago, has been listened to by a lot of cities, many that we've worked in, but has not had the impact that it should have. In 1972, Philadelphia was forced by the state to remove 472 of their signals. They collected a ton of data. Crashes dropped by 24%. Severe injury crashes dropped by 63%. Severe pedestrian injury crashes by 68%. Traffic engineers in Philadelphia believe that the safety benefit stems from elimination of the local habit of speeding up to beat the red. This is wrong in 2 ways. One, the habit is not local. Second, that's not the reason, principally. The principal reason is, if you think about it, an always stop intersection, no one who isn't stupid is going to go through that at more than 5 miles an hour because they might be hit by another car. But a signal that's green is an invitation to go 25, 30, 35 miles an hour through the intersection. So it's a much more dangerous intersection because it's a high-speed intersection. Our plan for Albuquerque, we recommended reverting 17 of the signals to stop signs. They converted 11. There was a rebellion. People hated it. They bagged the stop signs and went back to the signals. And then there was a counter-revolution where they put it back to our plan because the drivers realized they were getting through downtown faster with the stop signs. And that's the great secret of replacing signals with stop signs, is that you don't sit and wait at the light. You go slow, you pause. You go slow, you pause. It's just a much more walkable, healthy downtown. This is our plan for Scranton that has been fully approved and funded and will happen over the next 8 months, where all but one of all of the multi-lane one-ways are being reverted in green to two-way travel, and 19 signals are being eliminated from downtown Scranton to make it a safer downtown. So you can see what's possible. Next on the list is the width of the lanes themselves. How wide are your lanes? Andres Duany used to say the typical road to the typical subdivision in America is wide enough to allow you to experience the curvature of the earth. And it's true, because our standards have shifted from skinny streets to wide streets, right? This is the 60s, this is the 80s. Our streets have just gotten wider and wider. The wider the lanes are, the faster people go. NACTO knows this. The National Association of City Transportation Officials says it's time to get back downtown to 10-foot lanes. 10 foot is the standard. 10 foot is plenty. More than 10 feet, you're going to go faster than the speed limit. Here's a nice residential street, 11th Street, inadequate bike lanes. It should be 20 feet of travel. You can see you've got 48 feet there across the street, 24 feet, so 12-foot lanes for travel. That's more room than you need. I'll be talking about bikes in a minute and how to treat bicycles, but this is 11th Street now. If you make those 10-foot lanes the right size, you can put in another of your wonderful protected bike lanes on one side of the street. You probably have dozens of streets where this is possible. Yes, clap for that. So next, parallel parking. Why does the walkability guy love parking? Well, it's an essential barrier of steel that protects people on the sidewalk from moving vehicles. It makes sidewalks habitable. It makes sidewalks comfortable. This is happy hour in Fort Lauderdale, where you're allowed to park on the left side and not on the right side. This is happy hour on the left side and happy hour on the right side. No one wants to be there. Trees, of course, a huge part of the discussion. We used to call them FHOs, fixed hazardous objects. Now we realize that they make streets safer. Statistically, they slow cars down, sometimes dramatically, but better to hit a tree than a pedestrian. And that row of trees can really create the feeling of a wall between you and traffic if the parked cars aren't there. This is a Dutch artist's interpretation of a sidewalk without the trees, without the cars. Bicycling is so important, especially in your climate and in your flat city, relatively flat city. It's, again, the protection of those bikes with a standard that you've adopted here quite successfully on some of your streets. When they did that on Central Park West in Brooklyn, the number of cyclists tripled, speeding dropped precipitously, injury crashes dropped precipitously, but just as many cars were going through. Because one other secret of speeding is that people go fast, they stop, it causes waves of impediment that actually make streets less efficient when people are speeding on them. Of course, this being New York City, there was a drawn-out 6-year lawsuit. Eventually, the bike-hating NIMBY trolls grudgingly surrendered to reality. But I like to show this bike lane to contrast it with this bike lane. You know, nobody wants their daughter in the door zone, right? No one wants their daughter in an unprotected bike lane. And also, if you don't protect your bike lanes, people put stuff in it. I have a nice slide collection of people putting things in the unprotected bike lanes, the trash cans, the dumpsters, the Uber driver who never pulls over to the curb and just sits in the bike lane, buses in the bike lane, unloading in the bike lane, policemen in the bike lane, bikes in the bike lane. There's always something in the bike lane. So, you know, the new standard, this is not Photoshop, the new standard that we're building in Cambridge, you know, and that they're building in Seattle, when you build a new sidewalk, when you make that investment, that's the place for the bike lane. But perfectly safe, perfectly good is the sort of bike lanes that you've been inserting in your streets. Congratulations for that, you know, the before and the after. More of those are part of your plan. You have a comprehensive plan for bringing more bikes downtown, and that's great. But aren't bike facilities tools of gentrification for the elite? One message I like to share, that this is not your typical biker, the mammal, the middle-aged male in Lycra, right? It's not your typical biker. It's this fellow. More typically, the 38% of people who bike for transportation are from the poorest 25% of income earners. So investments in cycling are investments in equity. So the last two categories are pretty quick. We're going to move on to the comfortable walk and the interesting walk. But the safety is where I think you all need to focus. The comfortable walk, it's a little bit counterintuitive. The evolutionary biologists tell us that all animals, humans among them, want two things: prospect and refuge, to feel comfortable in a space. Prospect means you can see your predators before they attack you, and refuge means that your flanks are covered from attack. And if you don't feel that refuge, you don't feel comfortable. That's why we design outdoor living rooms. That's our goal as planners. What's the best ratio of height to width? Well, 1-to-1 was the Renaissance ideal. Beyond 6-to-1, you don't really feel enclosed anymore. So, 1-to-6, pretty fantastic. This is Salzburg. No one's complaining about shadows in Salzburg. The opposite of Salzburg, of course, is Houston. This is Houston from the 80s. But I still show this slide to remind people that it is the surface parking lot against the sidewalk, which is the principal villain here. You can put tables in it and try anything you want. But that lack of spatial definition is the problem. No, this is Europe. This is an outdoor living room, right, in Madrid. This is the kind of space that people like to inhabit. My hometown of Boston does it very well. You've got a lot of good streets. You've got some bad streets, where parking lots are up against the edge of the street on O, up against the edge of the street in P. These should be priority building sites, so you can get that sense of a spatial definition that you have in your best streets, like K Street or down in the old riverfront. Incredible, beautiful buildings, great height to width ratio. The path across the bridge to get to the baseball stadium is pretty fun, but once you cross that bridge, this is not an outdoor living room by a long shot. So these are priority development sites, and these two along that street before the bridge and by I-5 have also been identified correctly as key development sites. You need to fill in those missing teeth. Capping I-5, I think, I don't know a city that probably is better suited for a cap in that location. That could be really interesting. It'll be a more effective cap if it has both parks and buildings shaping the edges of those parks. And then the other part of comfort is orientation, which you guys do really well. We're enjoying the work of giants who designed your downtown with incredible vistas, having what's called a terminated vista, where you aim a street at a building. No one does it better than you guys. The side streets are even nicer in some ways because they're tighter, and so better spatial definition. The bridge and the way it frames the Capitol, spectacular. And again, this spot then, on that axis, where the bridge is crossing the highway, would be a tremendous location to invest in a Clyde Warren Park style cap over the highway. I think most people would tell you that. Clap for that. So, if you believe it, so too late, you already clapped. So that's the comfortable walk. Finally, the interesting walk. I mentioned how 1-to-1 was the Renaissance ideal. This is a 1-to-1 street. It's in Grand Rapids, which is a pretty walkable city, but no one wants to walk between the two best hotels in Grand Rapids because, when one side of the street is an exposed parking deck and the other side is a conference facility apparently designed in admiration for the parking deck, it's just boring, right? We like variety. We need to hide our parking decks. Mayor Riley in Charleston taught us it only takes 20 feet of building to hide 200 feet of parking. This is one of my favorites, the Chia Pet Garage, I call it, in South Beach. And you have some exposed parking decks, which are too late. They were built at the wrong time when we didn't learn this lesson, that are making streets boring. And then you have some attempts, in this case a worse attempt because the shops really aren't commodious enough to succeed. A worse attempt and a better attempt to hide the edges of those parking with shops. I imagine you have a rule now that requires that, and if not, I assume you will after my talk. Finally, when it comes to residential buildings, lining the parking decks with buildings to hide them, this is in Fayetteville. It should look familiar to you. You just built this next to your your major league stadium, but this is the right technique. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. I also hope your city is requiring this of parking decks when they're in residential buildings. So that's everything. We're basically done, except I just want to stress that in these four categories, the one that you can impact the quickest, before the next election, is the safe walk. And the idea of why not, starting with a dream. And that dream would be entirely two-way, entirely two-lane, except for a couple streets, probably I and J, that need to be three-lane with a center turn lane. That you can do that. And if you restripe it instead of rebuilding it, and if you stop sign it instead of signaling it, then you can afford it too. And I can see, because of my 30 years of doing this, how incredible that would be for your downtown. You may not be able to picture it yet, but if you trust me, you'll know that it would be an amazing thing to work towards. Finally, in your livability strategy, a wonderful document by Brent Todderan, who I believe has addressed this crowd. He has a quote from one of my favorite authors. And what he says is, so important. Some people might say, why is downtown so important? My neighborhood, not that many people live downtown. Why aren't you investing in my neighborhood instead? Well, the downtown is the only part of the city that belongs to everybody. It doesn't matter where you may find your home. The downtown is yours too. Investing in the downtown of a city is the only place-based way to benefit all of its citizens at once. And I believe that. I hope you believe it as well. So thank you for your attention. I'd like to end with some resources. I'm doing a book signing in the back. I think we have 800 of them, so please come visit. If you're doing this work more technically, if you're a professional who cares about these issues in more detail, this is the book for you. It's more technical. I have 2 TED Talks if you have friends who only want to spend 15 minutes on this. And finally, there's a documentary about our work called Walkable USA on PBS that I would direct you to. My name's Jeff Speck. I'm from Speck Dempsey. And if you pull your phones out, we like to share what we do. So if you scan this, you can have my slideshow. Understand I do not have the copyright to most of the images, so you won't either. But if any of you would find it useful to have these images, please scan this, and I'll leave this up as I exit this, or as I welcome Michael to the stage. Incredible. Oh, good.
Thank you. I think they want a picture of us here. Okay. I'm going to close it, but you can. Okay, you can go back. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Inspiring, yes? So Cassie, why don't you put up my closing stuff and we can go from there. But this is really our opportunity to thank you for being here. We're ahead of schedule, which I know is a bonus for you. I want to start by acknowledging a couple of people. Our outgoing board chair, Kip Blewett, has been the board chair. I somehow convinced him to come back for a couple-year term, but yeah, absolutely. But you can't make up the challenges of the last several years that I think we've faced as a downtown, and not only been a mentor, but really a stable force within our organization. And an opportunity to welcome my incoming board chair, Angelo Sakopoulos, who's going to guide us this next. You know, we're very fortunate to have a very diverse and collaborative group of board of directors. I won't make you stand, but many of my board members are here today. The sponsors that joined us today, Jonathan Weiser, you and your team here with the Safe Credit Union, thank you for hosting us. But, yeah. As Jeff said, he'll be in the lobby signing some books, but I do want to acknowledge the Downtown Partnership team. You know, I said this at the chamber dinner a couple of years ago. I took this job for a year. I said I'll do it for a year, 28 or 29 years ago, never expecting this would be a career. It's been a special place for my wife, Christina, and I, and our family, but this work that we do is personal for us. I had an opportunity before the event today to talk to a few people about, you know, how much longer you want to do this, how you still staying positive, the ups and downs of the job. The work absolutely is personal, and when we look back, I think the goal is really creating something that we feel that we've made a difference. We've got an incredible partnership staff. My deputy directors, Danielle Biller and Scott Ford. I would not want to be doing this without you, wherever you're at. Thank you. the leadership team, the events team that put this together. We know we've got our clean and safe directors here. This work makes a difference, and downtown, as you heard, should be important to all of us. As we look forward over these next several years, continue to stay with us. Join us in this effort. Downtown is special. It should be special. We've got a lot of partners and businesses that we work with every day. We value that relationship, but have a great day. Continue to fight for downtown. This city is special. This is important, and the work that we do is transformational. So thank you again.